using the MakerBot uh, replicator template, which is called 3D printing inches. You could do it in millimeters as well. We're going to use inches. So 3D printing inches template. You can see we've got the MakerBot replicator 2 box. This is the actual valid printing area for the MakerBot. Uh, Pretty nice to have that. That way you make sure that your stuff all fits inside of what you're trying to print it out in. I actually want to do something called layers. So I go to Window, Layers, and what this option gives me is the ability to add more layers, just like you're working in a Photoshop style program. I'm going to add a new layer, call it gears, because I'm going to be building a gear. And now what I can do is I can hide that MakerBot Replicator 2 box, but not delete it. That way I can turn it on and off and make sure that it's still around for me to compare everything with. That way I don't make anything too big by mistake. All right. Apparently if you click on the layers box here, you can toggle it from being open and taking up more screen space or close it down. I'm going to close it down. All right. One thing I did do though is my radio button here was chosen on gears. That makes it so the gears layer is the layer I'm working on. Because if I am working on the layer 0 layer and I build something and I hide it, now I can't see it anymore. So make sure I'm on gears. Next, going to build a circle on the platform of 0.5 inches. So with the radius of 0.5 inches, that's 0.5 inches or 1/2 inch. The reason why I built it on the platter, because if you're building something floating up in space, it's going to be really hard for it to print. Also will mess up whether or not things are fitting inside of your object. So now that I've got the object started on the platter, I'm going to go ahead and hide that layer. I don't need it anymore. Right now I'm just going to be working on this guy. All right. Now we made it with the radius of 1/2 inch, which means the diameter is 1 inch. So I'm going to use the measuring tool to go from any of the endpoints to one of the endpoints across, and you can see there's going to be one. There it is right there. Little balloon popped up, told me that's 1 inch across. And what I'm trying to do now is I'm trying to find the center of the circle. Even though from the side that doesn't really look like it's the center, it looks like it's too high. If you look at it from the very top, yeah, that's the center. All right. So because once I have the center, I'm going to make 3 concentric circles. So these circles start from the center, get pulled out, and it's 1/16 of an inch. That's going to be the center where the axle goes through the gear. Then I have 3/16 of an inch. And the last one is 6/16 of an inch. You might have no other number values for those three. Like 6/16 is actually 3/8 of an inch, but I just kept it 16, so it's all the same. But those are the 3 sizes of the circles we just used. Right. Now, for myself, those guidelines are done. I don't need them anymore. I use them to find the center of the circle, but now I can get rid of them. Go ahead and click Edit, Delete Guides, and the guides are gone. Next up, I'm going to use some colors here to make it stand out a little bit more. You don't have to do this part, but I like it. I'm going to do the outside edge and the smallest ring, not the circle in the center. It's going to have the outside ring are going to be colored the same. Now, one thing I can do here is actually delete the 2 gray parts of the circles. I don't need those right now. And if I orbit, if I look at it from below, I can see I can see into space now. I can see the white shape below it. All right. So what I want to do is I want to use the line tool to connect endpoints. If you press escape, that little line that's following you will go away. And I don't really like the way that one looked there, so maybe I'll go to that point right there. Now, what I'm doing is creating the spoke. There we go. There's a spoke for the center of the gear. See, it filled in that bit in the middle. That's okay. We can just delete again in a minute. Line again, go directly across. Line, down. Let's see, right there, that looks good. Erase those two. There we go. It doesn't need to be perfect. For this one, for my class at least, we are just kind of doing this as an example of how you can build something like this. We're not actually going to be printing it or using it on a machine. Of course, if you're using it on a machine, you're going to want to make sure that you're much more accurate. But for right now, we're just trying to get the general shape of a ring down and of a gear down and trying to get the process for it. So if you remember, those little gaps came back. All I'm going to do is click the gray areas with the mouse tool, then hit delete, and you can see they disappeared. Next up, now this part you can do after you've pulled it up already, or right now, doesn't matter. I like doing it after the push pulls for sometimes. I'll show you what that looks like in a second. But around the outside edge of the circle, you can see that there are endpoints. It's not an actual like smooth circle that you're working with. You're working with a bunch of straight edges. So I'm going to click an endpoint, go to the next endpoint, skip it, and go down. You see how I made a nice little triangle right there? I can now delete that triangle, and now I've got a nice straight edge. I'm going to do that on a couple more, skipping one in between, making that triangle, making sure that I'm connecting on endpoints as well. If you're not connecting on endpoints, you're going to kind of be messing it up a little bit. All right, do that, erase that bit there. So you can see I've made a couple of straighter edges there, and you can see that's starting to take shape there. The other bits are much more round here along the right hand side of the image, but not the left hand side. Now if you want to do that from the push pull area, either way that you're going to do this, you're eventually going to have to push pull, so I can show you this right now. Push pull the shape up 1/4 inch. Gives it some nice good thickness there. And that measurement again was 1/4 inch, or 0.25 of an inch. All right. Now, inside this shape here, I'm going to do something to kind of change the color around a little bit for you. Maybe make this like a weird yellow color around the edge, so you can see the 3 chunks that I've already done, and I've already cut off the circle. All right. Now, the other method is to see it from the top. There's actually 2 ways of doing it here. One, I can use the line tool just like I was before, connecting every other endpoint. And then now, instead of just deleting it, I need to push-pull that shape down. And there we go. I've just shaved off the edge of it. Do that one more time for you to see. So line tool, skip an endpoint, push-pull, and shave it on down. There you go. Another way you can do it is using the rectangle tool, cut across diagonally, and you can see it does the same exact thing as the line tool, except there's also a line on the bottom now. You can see it up here. You are welcome to erase those 2 triangle bits, and we've got it. It made a nice gray shape right there. That one doesn't always work the best, because now you're not for sure if you've actually covered the face, because it didn't match the color. I like the colors, but if the colors don't work for you, don't use them. So I'm just going to finish this off here. One thing you can do as well is, I'm running out of time. I need to do this. All right. Once you've got the faces all cut off, take every other face and pull it out 0.25 of an inch. And you can see as you do that, 0.25 of an inch, it will slowly make the gear shape. And that's how you make a gear.